What's going on, everyone? Are you searching for a lightweight folding bike that's also got really great power? Look no further. This is the EUNORAU Meta Foldable. Let's check it out. All right, folks, this is the EUNORAU Meta Foldable. Now, EUNORAU uses that Meta name badging on several different models of bikes, but this is the 20-inch folding Meta. That's what we're going to be looking at today. Current price on this one is $16.99, and it comes in 5 different color options. This is the charcoal, but you can also get white, blue, pink, or crimson. But I think this charcoal color looks pretty sharp. And the plan for today is I'm going to walk you through the bike front to back so you can see all the parts up close. Then I'll show you some of the ride footage. And as always, I'll put the time codes below in case you want to skip to any particular part. So let's get started up front with your wheel and tire package. It's a 20 by 3-inch wide tire. These are the Kenda Flames, I believe. Very street-oriented tread and pretty meaty looking tire. It's got a pretty thick sidewall on it. It is a quick release skewer on the front wheel. You've got 180 millimeter hydraulic disc brakes there, just branded EUNORAU. They seem to work perfectly, no issues with the braking system. You've got a suspension fork on the front. It's by XSHO. See if I can get a shot of the name there on the bottom for you. EXSHO, XSHO. It did a good job. I had no complaints with the front fork. It seemed to work nicely. You do have multiple levels of compression adjustment here with the knob on the top. Rack and fenders are included. Metal fenders, metal bar that connects to the forks here. It's a nice little setup. It looks sharp. Metal front and back. They wrap pretty far around, should protect pretty well from splash. Rear rack also included. Pretty nice looking rear rack. And you do have a good lighting package included. You get rear tail light and brake light. And at the front, of course, you get a headlight. No turn signals on the bike though. They did a pretty good job with the cable management here at the front. It looks pretty nice and neat. I always appreciate that. And then the wires go inside the frame right here and they kind of disappear the rest of the bike. You don't really see them. So this is only exposed wiring up here at the front. Now let's take a look at your handlebars and controls. Handlebars are about 24 inches wide. You got round rubber grips, trigger shifters right here, 7-speed bike. This is the adjustment lever where you can adjust the angle of the bars. And then this one, you can adjust the height of the bars. And then your folding mechanism here when you want to fold the bike. Display screen. Left hand thumb throttle on this one. Let me turn the display on for you. You can see what that looks like. It is a color display. It's small off to the side, but it is very readable. And for programming, it's really simple to program. I'm going to go into it real quick so you can see. It's all just plain English. Change your display units, your brightness, speed limit. I'll go into that one for you. I set it at 99 kilometers an hour. You'll see in the ride footage how fast it goes. Faster than you're thinking for a small folding bike, I'll tell you that. But I just maxed it out. And everything's just really easy and simple to set in here. So I'm not going to go through it all. Let's just back out. And you can see you get display, battery life, a power meter on the side, pedal assist, and then all the data down here that you need. Great display, no complaints there at all. But let's power that back off. Just so you know, it's going to arrive to you programmed as class 2, 20 miles an hour, that's it. And then if you want to go in and unlock it faster, you can. And interesting, the throttle is not limited. It's not locked down at 20. You can go as fast as you want with throttle only power. I really like that, it makes it a lot of fun. Now for the battery pack, which is integrated inside the frame right here. It drops out the front. It's a 48 volt, 15 amp hour battery pack, which is pretty big for a folding bike. 15 amp hours is a good amount of battery power. And this one is UL certified. They even have the sticker right here. The 2 UL certification numbers are right there on the frame. Anybody that's really concerned about that, I know some folks in different geographies, you can only buy a UL certified bike. And another really cool feature about this bike is the range extender option. Let's turn this thing around really quick. There you go, now we can see the other side. So here's your charging port up here. And then down here is the range extender plug. So they offer on their website where you can buy a battery pack, comes with a battery cradle, and you just mount it right here on the frame. And then it's got a wire coming off the cradle and it plugs in right here. There's your outlet. So you just mount the battery on and plug it in, boom. You've got basically double your range. It's already pre-wired with a battery balancer inside here and the port to plug right in. It's the simplest way that you can add extra range to a bike. I really like that feature. So for those of you really concerned about range, EUNORAU gives you the plug and play option to extend it anytime you want. Now there is one more important thing I want to cover on this battery pack, and that is how do you take it out of the frame? I was excited to see how this is set up. Normally on a folding frame bike, to get the battery out that's inside the frame, you have to release the latch and start folding the bike and leave it like halfway folded and then put the key in underneath here, trying to fight through all the wires and then balance the half folded bike to let the thing slide out. It's a huge pain in the butt to take them out of the frame. But this one, being that it drops out the front, I was like, okay, that's gonna be way easier. But it took me a while to figure out the system of how to get the battery out. And I really wanna show you guys kind of the trick I found. Let me get this camera set up. Now that you've got a better view, I can show you how this battery drops out of here. So normally you just kind of put the key in and the battery pops out the front and then you're done, right? But not the case on this one. There's a metal plate right here covering the battery. So this isn't the battery, that's just an aluminum plate. So first thing, you gotta remove that. There's this little lever right here. So we're gonna hit that and you'll see this plate start to pop out, right? There you go. Now on the bottom down here, there's another plastic tab holding it in there. And I couldn't find a way to, like, you can't pull it out, you can't angle it out. It's just kind of stuck. I don't know what to do with it. I couldn't get it out of here. It took me about 20 minutes to figure this out. And it can't come this way because you're hitting on the top of the fork right here. So what I found is if you angle this to the side, drop down to clear the fork, and then angle it back straight, now it can slide like through the forks, and you just have to let it slide up through there and kind of pull a little hard on it to, you can see the tab right there. That's what's down in here. It's a little tricky, but really easy once you get used to doing it. And the same thing to put it back in. So I'm gonna go up through the forks here like this. I'm gonna seat that tab on the bottom like that. Then I'm gonna angle it out and angle it back up to clear the fork. Okay, so that's how you take the plate off. So let's do it again. Release, angle, down, slide up, plate's out of the way. Now I can release the battery. So I'm gonna turn the key and you'll see it pop out. You gotta catch it, nothing holds it. So if you turn that key, it's gonna fly out. And then your battery can drop out the front. There you go. Now the folding frame on the Meta works just like the majority of folding bikes. It folds right here in the center of the frame, and then also at the handlebar stem right there. It's got a really low step through. It's about 15 inches or so to get your foot through the step through. And then it's really wide. You got a good like 9-10 inches of width there to get through. So even if you decide to do the battery extender option and you end up mounting a battery pack on the frame, I just brought out a sample battery pack there. So you still have a good amount of space to get your foot through there. So even if you do put the range extender on, it's still gonna be an easy step through. It's a very manageable frame size, very low seat height. The minimum seat height is 30 inches. That's quite low. They say on the website, someone 5'1" could ride it. I would agree. I think 30-inch seat height, they could do that. The maximum seat height, 37 inches. So at 6 feet tall, I was nearing the limits of this bike. I was still comfortable riding it. No problem pedaling the bike in a comfortable position. But if you're gonna be 6'5", this is gonna be a pretty small bike for you. For your gearing, you got a 48 tooth chainring up front. It's an aluminum chainring and it's single-sided. So 48 up front, 14/28 in the back, a Shimano 20 derailleur. You do have a derailleur guard that comes with the bike. And it was good gearing for the lower speeds. This thing, believe it or not, goes 25 plus miles an hour pretty easily. When you get into those higher speeds, you definitely start ghost pedaling this. You run out of pedal at the 25 mark. And the Meta is equipped with a torque sensor. So when you pedal, your pedal system is keeping track of the pressure that you're pushing on the pedal with, not just the cadence of you spinning the pedals. It's keeping track of the torque, the pressure applied on the pedals, and it works fantastic. It works really great. Torque sensor is not something that I would say you typically find on a small foldable bike like this, so great addition. And motivating you down the road is your 500 watt geared hub motor in the back wheel, and it peaks way higher than that. I was regularly seeing it peak over 1,000 watts. So don't let the 500 watt designation fool you. This is actually a pretty powerful, torquey little bike. And now let's switch over to some ride footage. You can see what the experience is like on the Meta Foldable. All right, let's get right to it. I'm gonna start off by showing you the throttle only top speed, which is probably gonna surprise you. Here we go. Up to 20, 23. GPS matches the bike speedometer pretty perfectly, actually. There's 28, 29. So 29 on the GPS and 30 on the bike. Seems to be holding the 28, 29 mark. That's pretty good. I mean, folding bikes, a lot of times they're limited to like 20. There's 31 on the bike, 30 on the GPS on that little bit of a downhill. So 30 miles an hour out of this small 20-inch folding bike. That's crazy. All right, now you know this thing is ridiculously fast for a folding bike. Let's just talk about the ride position and the ride comfort as we drive over to the hill climb. So I am 6 feet tall. I'm pretty comfy on this thing, honestly. I've got the seat at basically the maximum seat height. I've got it set at like 36, maybe 36 and a half inches. And I've got the handlebars up a little bit and I'm pretty comfy. For someone 5'1", I think the handlebars would probably feel like a little bit of a stretch to get to them because they're gonna have much shorter arms. Handlebars are a little bit narrow. So they're 24 inches across, you know, from end to end. I typically like mine a little bit wider because this makes the steering feel real quick. It feels super quick, super nimble. So it's comfy. I prefer them a little wider, but they are 24 inches across, just so you know. From the ground to the top of these, at the lowest point is 45 inches. I've got them set at about 48 inches. Now the front fork feels awesome. That's good. They didn't cheap out on that. It's an X-Show fork. It's adjustable and it's got good like squishing and you don't bottom it out. So if I stand up and just bounce up and down, I'm not really bottoming the fork out. The seat is firm. Now, depending on how you like your seat, I like them soft, wide, squishy. I think this bike would really benefit from just a cheap suspension seat post. $30 Zoom suspension post on this would do wonders because there's no rear suspension. Now, one other thing that's contributing to the firmness of this ride are the tires. They're Kenda Flame tires, and they got a pretty meaty, thick sidewall on them. So it looks like they would be squishy, but they're not because it says on the sidewall, inflate to 40 PSI. That's really firm. So you're not getting that squish suspension effect out of the tires at all. It's a firm ride because you got the air pressure in them pumped up so high. Well, we made it to our test hill, and the 750 watt bikes will go up this hill in like 22 to 24 seconds. This is only a 500 watt bike, but it's torquey. So I'm expecting a good showing here. We're gonna go throttle only. Here we go, 3, 2, 1, go. Good pull off the line there. Tire wanted to come up in the air. It's a really torquey bike. We're up to 11 miles an hour. It's pulling this hill, no problem. No help from me. I weigh 180 pounds. Almost to 12 miles, there's 12 miles an hour. Steeper part of the hill here. And then we cut the time with this path. Time. That was good. That was a strong showing. I think that was right on par with bikes that have bigger motors. I think it was right in the range of a 750 watt bike. If you're looking to buy an e-bike and you're looking at these bikes going, it's only got a 500 watt motor, I would really want the 750. This one performs as well as the 750 watt motors in a lot of instances because it peaks at over 1,000 watts. It's peaking double what it's rated for. Strong bike on the hill. It's got good torque. I don't know what else to say. It's a good climber. All right, green light. Let's see if we can keep up with the cars here. Throttle only. No problem. I'm gaining. I got to back off. I'm going too fast. But the throttle is not linked to your pedal assist. So it doesn't matter what pedal assist you're in, 1 or 5, you still get full power out of the throttle all the time. I like that setup. And it's also a torque sensor for the pedal assist. So it eliminates a lot of pushing the buttons to get the power you want. I just keep it in 5. I keep it in pedal assist 5. And then you only get power when you push on the pedals. Well, here's a spot I can give you a better torque sensor demonstration. I'm in pedal assist 5, the most power possible. I start turning the pedals. I'm getting like 100 watts, going 7 miles an hour. So you can ride at low speed, even in pedal assist 5. So I'm saying you don't need to go through the pedal assist constantly when you have a torque sensor, because you only get power when you push. Watch when I push. Boom, there we go. 1,000 watts it ran up to. And this thing takes right off. Now we're going 20 miles an hour. So all the power is right there on demand anytime I want it. And I can still slow down and ride at a normal pace. 9 miles an hour. All right, let's see if I can give you a feel for the acceleration. It's got a pretty good pull off the line. Here you go. 3, 2, 1, go. That's a decent pull off the line. It's really kind of torquey. I like the setup of the power delivery. Responsive. I hate when there's a throttle delay, and this doesn't have it at all. You punch the throttle and it goes. Fork feels good, nice and squishy, but doesn't really bottom out hard. That's nice. And it's adjustable too, so you can make it firmer. But look at the pull this thing's got. You ready? It's nice. I like the power. I'll do it one more time here. I'm not gonna push on the pedals. Good power in this thing. Good low end power. Good brakes. All right, let's show you pedaling. 6 feet tall. I'm at maximum seat height. It's comfy. Okay, so let me give you my impression of this Meta 20-inch foldable bike so far. I feel like a lot of the 20-inch folding bikes are built to be folding and cheap, right? They're trying to be the best folding bike they can at $8.99 or $9.99. And I feel like the Meta bike is not trying to do that. They're trying to make a very useful bike. They're not trying to go cheap on everything. Let's take a look at it here really quick, so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to point some things out. It's got a nice paint job, nice graphics, the way that the fenders attach with these nice metal bars, good wheel and tire package. You got a nice looking seat on here, a nice looking rear rack. It doesn't look cheap to me. It doesn't look like a thrown together thing just to hit a budget. So this one goes for what, $16.99? So it'll be up to you to decide if it's worth that or not. But you know, they did not cheap out on the front fork. It's a decent front fork. You got decent brakes. They put on decent grips instead of those really cheap rubber grips. I like the trigger shifters better. I think those look nicer and work nicer rather than the thumb shifter. What else about this? The step through is really wide and low and accessible. They did a great job for accessibility on it. This is a 15 amp hour battery pack, so you get a good battery pack from the start. And then it's got that range extender feature already ready to go. You just buy the battery pack if you want more range, mount it right here, and then this plug right down here. You just plug the battery in and you've doubled your range. That's a huge feature. You can't get any easier to add range. It's got a torque sensor instead of a cadence sensor, which is a higher end part and I think functions nicer. And the thing goes 30 miles an hour. It's got great hill climb torque and it goes 30 miles an hour. What budget $8.99 bike is taking you 30 miles an hour on the throttle? When I ride the other small, cheap folding bikes, I think, okay, I see the purpose of this bike. It's meant to be compact, and if I was gonna go on a trip or take it camping or take it on vacation, take it somewhere, yeah, I'd want that bike. But for everyday use, I would want something better looking, more power, more speed out of it. I'd have to have two bikes. I'd have to have one small folding bike and then another one for my everyday use. Where I think this one could actually maybe fill both of those roles. But let's start laying down some miles and see what kind of range we can get out of this. Just to give you one data point, you know, 180 pounds. I'm gonna keep it in. Let's go pedal assist 5. We're gonna do a lot of throttle only riding and minimal pedaling, and we'll just see how quick we can burn through it. Let's see how stable she is. Feels pretty good. No problem. I can ride no-handed. No problem. Even with the torque sensor kind of like kicking in and out with the motor as I'm pedaling, and pedal assist 5. So it's pretty stable. All right, I'm here, so I gotta try it. There's a super steep hill climb right there. I don't know if we're gonna make it. Not for lack of power out of this thing. I think it's gonna be lack of traction. We got street slicks on, and that's just all loose gravel, but let's give it a shot. Oh man, here we go. Come on, baby, come on, you got it. Oh, we're spinning out. Come on, baby, dig. I just can't get traction. It had the power. It was just spinning out. Oh my gosh. This hill is something else. I don't want to go back down this. It's so loose. Yeah, if you're going to off-road the Meta, you got to change the tires. I couldn't get any traction with these. Time for a check-in. We are 26 miles into the range test. 26 miles. I'm at 30% battery remaining. Seems to have really good power still. If I hit the throttle, peaking at 880. So we're down 200 watts. We used to peak over 1,000. It's now at like 880, but still it's pretty good power. Doesn't really, feel like it's struggling on the hills or anything yet. I've been doing a lot of higher speed riding, 25-ish miles an hour for quite a way. So I've been just chewing through this battery like crazy. But well, we made it back home and we made it to the end of our range test. I'm at 8% battery. I mean, there's still some battery left. 8%, still running just fine. Still has decent power. It's peaking at 800 watts still. I can still go, 20 something miles an hour. So there's still a few miles left in it, but right now I'm at 31 miles, just over 31 miles, mostly throttle only riding. I didn't really pedal much at all. So I guess there you go. There's one piece of data. Think about how you're going to ride your bike. I weigh 180 pounds. If you weigh a lot more than that, you're going to get less range. And how much you're going to pedal. It still takes me right up to speed, but I'm going to call it there. You're probably only going to get maybe another, 3-4 miles out of it. So somewhere in the 30s. Time to fold and load the Meta. Let's see what that's like. I'm going to put the handlebars down the whole way. Now I'm going to put the seat down. Get this thing nice and small. Next, I'm going to release this mechanism here in the middle. Allow that to swing open. And I'm going to undo the handlebars at the same time. Pop that lever. Allow these to flop down. Now I'm going to start to kind of like sandwich it in half right here. It's really smooth, actually. That mechanism, sometimes those can be really stiff and you got to like really scrunch it together. That one was pretty smooth. Get around the other side of it, fold it in half. There's your folded size. I mean, it is what it is. They only get so small, right? And now to lift it, I usually put one hand on the rack and one hand like underneath the frame. And then you just gotta muscle it up. It's about 63 pounds, so depending how strong you are, this may be easy or difficult. So I'm gonna grab here and here, lift it, right? And then depending how high of a vehicle you're loading it in, I mean, my truck has a little bit of a lift in it and like 33-inch tires. So it's a little tall from here to here, but no problem. Probably be a lot easier if I took the battery out too. It's only gonna save you a couple pounds, but every little bit helps, right? Now if we take it down to open it back up here, show you what that's like. All right. I just kind of used all back right there. Don't do that. But I mean, it's pretty quick. And the pedals fold too. I forgot to mention that. The pedals do fold. This one folded itself somehow automatically. There you go. Ready to ride. All right, hopefully I was able to give you a good feel for what the ride experience is like on this Meta Foldable from EUNORAU. And I always like to kind of wrap things up with what you need to know about the bike. So there's probably 3 or 4 things I think you need to know about this one. There's a lot of folding frame bikes, 20-inch wheel folders on the market, and there's a few things that make this one stand out, make it a little bit different. First is the step-through height. It's pretty low and pretty wide, so there's just a ton of room to step through this bike. If you have limited mobility, this is going to be a great option for you. The next thing is the torque sensor. Again, small folding bikes don't typically have a torque sensor. They usually have a cadence sensor, which you start pedaling and it just drags you up to a mile-per-hour mark, and then the motor cuts out, and whether you want to go that fast or not. This one doesn't do that. It only delivers power based on if you're pushing and you want the power. So I like having the torque sensor. Next is the power. 500 watt motor, but peaking over 1,000. And if you unlock it in the settings like I did, you get some great speed out of this small little folding bike. I mean, I was able to go 30 miles an hour on this thing. That's pretty impressive. And the last thing I'll say is the range extender option, to be able to just go on the website, buy the battery pack, mount it on there, plug it in, and you've got a ton more range. It's super simple. You don't have to cut, splice, put in battery balancers. It's all ready to go for you. I think that's a really good feature to have. Now, is there anything I would change about the bike? I think the only changes I would really make would be the personal preference items. I would end up putting a suspension seat post on to give it a little bit softer ride. I would probably try to find maybe wider handlebars for it. So I kind of want my arms out a little bit wider. Probably try to find some wider bars. And then I might swap out the tires. I like to have a little bit more tread, a little bit more grip on the tires. I was kind of spinning out on that uphill dirt road I was trying to climb. So those would be the things I would probably swap out. Maybe the pedals. I don't like the plastic folding pedals, but that's what comes on pretty much every folding bike. Other than that though, great little bike. So hopefully I was able to answer a lot of questions for you today about the Meta Foldable. If I missed something, drop it in the comments. I'll do my best to answer if I can. I'll link it below so you can find it easily, and hope you found it interesting, helpful, enjoyable to watch. If you did, consider hitting subscribe and consider coming back for more. Thanks.